It's time yet again for another training campaign demonstration. Hello, and welcome back to the cockpit of the A-18 Hornet. As I said, I am developing a training campaign for, it's basically a flight school for the F-18, which is meant to take you from not knowing anything about the aircraft all the way up to being able to go out and fly missions in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're completely lost. We did the navigation block and that's done, and this is going to be mission 2 of the air-to-ground portion of the training, which will come right after the navigation. I believe in teaching in a concepts first kind of method, and then teach you the skills along the way. So some people are going to be a little bit confused by the choices that I've made when it comes to when I teach certain things, but I want to teach from the very beginning the idea of how you go through the process of doing a mission rather than, oh, it's easy to do CCIP bombing, so let's teach that first. So the first part of the air-to-ground training was just avoiding SAM sites using the SA page and the threat rings and all of that, and then this one is going to be actual SEAD with a harm, taking out the SAM site before you come in, and then you just bomb it like you did last time. So I'm just kind of trying to add and change things and just like slowly build on each lesson as we go. So for this mission, we're going to do, there's a single SAM site guarding the same two trucks that we bombed in the last mission. You're going to take out the SAM site with a harm, and then you're going to come in and bomb it just like you did last time, and then the rest of the mission basically is just a repeat of what you did before. And this mission is just adding the harms to the process so that the pilot starts to understand the process of a mission rather than just, oh, this is a thing you can do, and not really understanding where it fits in the process. So let's go ahead and hop into this. I probably won't let the narrator just speak through all of the things, because that'll make this whole thing take, 30, 45 minutes, because it just takes a long time for the thing to read through that. So
while it's usually best to just avoid enemy air defenses, many times that simply isn't possible.
So this page just talks about what SEAD is, the danger of going into a place where you're trying to bomb things. There's probably going to be some kind of air defenses. So this is basically just explaining that, and then it starts talking about getting the bombs that we had from the last mission set up, and then adding the harms, and it tells you how to do that. We talked about the loadout page in the previous mission, so the pilot already understands how to do that. So let's do that now.
In these cases, we must engage in the practice of suppression
I have a loadout that I'm updating as I go, so I don't have to manually do it.
On missions involving air to ground, there isn't really too much advanced configuration to do,
Okay, so for this one, it basically just it describes what the harm is, the different modes that it has. I gotta fix that again. Self-protection mode, not self-defense mode. It explains what self-protection and target of opportunity mode is, which is not going to be covered in this mission. It'll be covered in the next mission. And then it talks about the data entry for what we need to do, which is basically just entering the target code for it and then assigning the waypoint that you need for the harm to go in and try to find whatever it is it's looking for. So yeah, basically these are just the instructions for that. So we're going to go ahead and switch to AG mode so we can see the source page. I'm going to time compress so we can hurry up and get into where the actual weapons are there.
Ground reference,
and then
usually a waypoint, to allow us to stand off and fire at a
I'm going to have him until he stops talking. It's hard to talk over him and do things at the same time. So you can pause the video if you want to read what he's saying.
That's it for the harms for...
You can pause the video and read what he's saying if you want to get the actual text and everything that's going on. But basically, all he's telling you, he's just teaching you to, go into the harms menu, make sure it's in pre-brief mode, make sure it's in air... Well, we talk about that during the flight. That's not something that's covered right now. But how to get into here, do the target, enter the code for the SA6, which is what we're going to... Or, sorry, it's 108. Enter the code for the SA6, put that in there, go to your menu, go to your... something that has a waypoint, the waypoint designate, and make sure, and then it explains that that's all you have to do. Then all you have to do after that is do like we did in the previous mission, which you will have learned in the previous mission, and you just do that all over again. You set your weapons up so that they're ready to fire. We go into here and do our data entry. Where's my... I gotta pull up my... sorry, I had to pull up my coordinates here, so... 0, 1, and 20, 29. Sometimes it lags like that. East, 45, 21, 0, 1, and 51. And then we do our elevation, 55, 18. These coordinates are provided in the mission briefing, and I will also have a mission card for those people who prefer to use the kneeboard. 04. And it's also just to get them used to the idea that they have a knee board, they can use it, and there will be valuable information in there for their missions. So, you know, most people who are just jumping into DCS who decided, hey, I want to buy a cool plane while I do it, they're probably not going to know that the knee board's even a thing. So by introducing it and getting them used to having that available to them, they'll be used to that. So okay, so we have all of our stuff put in. We can turn off, or we can return to this. We can return back to this. Turn off the menu. I keep getting this TXA degraded, and I know it's because the alignment for this isn't set up yet. But for whatever reason, as long as I have this selected, even after that, when I enter my flight, it stays up there. So for me, I can press the harm, and that makes it go away. But I'm not really sure what the what the cause of that is, anyways. But I guess we'll go ahead and do a legitimate takeoff. I typically, especially for my testing purposes, I will just take off from the taxiway directly to the left. But it's just it takes a long. It adds time in to come over here every time every time you're replaying this.
Colt 1-1, request takeoff.
Whether he gives me clearance or not, we're going because we're doing a video here. Ignore my flying. I'm mostly concerned with just hurrying up and getting through the video so that you guys don't have to sit and wait and watch all this stuff. There will be lots of time compression. There will be lots of fast forwarding through narrative just to explain what each page is telling you as the student, because this video is primarily aimed at getting people interested in the campaign, not necessarily to actually teach you anything. There's plenty of videos out there of people actually teaching you how to do this stuff. You don't need this video to teach you how to do that. So this is mostly just to get people who might want a campaign like this interested in the campaign, and then people who already know how to do this stuff to get feedback on the videos so that, you know, if I got something wrong or if there's something that could be better explained or whatever. And, you know, I want to create something that's really good and that people are going to want to purchase, because it's going to be, this is too much work for me to just give it away. It's already too much work, and I have 2 more blocks of training after this one to complete. So it's going to be a lot, but ideally it will be comprehensive enough that it's worth paying like $10 for.
Okay, go ahead and activate AG mode. Set your master arm switch to arm, then go to the stores page and select the harm so we can go over the process. Down in the bottom left of the stores page are 2 options for launching the harm, aircraft or harm lofting. If they aren't there, just press the harm button a couple of times until they do.
So this is the kind of little attention to detail things that I'm trying to make sure I add into the instructions, because most people aren't going to realize that, wait, where's this instruction that I'm looking for? Why isn't it there? And almost no tutorial is going to say, oh yeah, you just press the button a couple of times, it'll reset your storage page, and then that'll come back.
The way this works is that the harm needs to be lofted toward the target to get as much range out of it as possible. This can be accomplished by either using our own air...
All right, so we're not going to sit through all of this. It's basically talk about how the harm works, using the aircraft to do the lofting part, and then making sure they understand that they need to have their RWR on so we can track the station. So we'll go ahead and do
most
that
of
now.
the work, or making the harm loft
Make sure
itself.
our RWR is on. And then I'm just going to time compress through this because it takes a long time to read these, and we need to get on with this. Let me get
As we don't need to be looking at our weapons inventory.
So it basically explains the concept of how the RWR, sort of how the RWR works, in that you're going to get targeted, and you want that because you want the harm to be able to see the
At this
enemy.
point, you should be within the harm's maximum range. You should now see several new items on the HUD: 2 inward-facing arrows, a horizontal line, and a range indicator next to the AC mode.
I'm going to let this one play all the way through.
As you might have guessed, the range indicator just tells you that you're in range to fire the weapon. The inward-facing arrows are used for the harm lofting mode, so we'll cover that when we use that mode in another mission. The horizontal line is what we use to guide the aircraft to the proper angle to fire off the harm. We should be close enough by this point to get a good kill, so go ahead and hold down the weapon release button and begin a controlled climb to bring the velocity vector up to that horizontal line. Keep on holding it down, and once the vector reaches the line, the weapon will automatically fire and fly out to the waypoint while looking for the SA-6 signal. As long as the radar continues transmitting, the weapon should find the station and take it out. Once the weapon is away, maneuver as necessary to keep yourself outside the threat ring of the SAM site until you hear the RWR warning go silent while in level flight, It has some blind spots, so you can only be sure if you're flying level and the warning has gone away. I'll also give you verbal confirmation just in case.
2, must fight, close close.
Okay, so now we're just waiting for the harm to get to the target. I didn't go into too much detail as far as how the RWR works. I just wanted them to understand that this page will show them things that are painting them with a radar. It'll show the SA-6 site, and then eventually we'll get close enough that the SA-6 site is able to target us and it'll move in. I explained that part. But I also made it very clear that it should be destroyed long before we get to the part where it's able to actually kill us, or do anything to us. As long as they stay outside of the threat ring, they should be fine. That's the general idea. So we'll sit here for a second. We'll sit here for a little bit and wait, because I want to go through the process of, you know, getting through the part where it actually targets us, and then the thing dies. You'll get a notification saying, "Hey, you got the target done," and that's it.
2, must fight, close close.
So I did in my testing before we even get inside the threat ring, it's already dead. So the student should be safe from anything, and they've been instructed, don't go in the threat ring. If it's not dead by the time you get to the threat ring, turn away and get away from it. There it
Okay,
goes.
the SAM site has been neutralized. Continue on toward waypoint 2. As you switch over to your GPU, be careful not to deactivate it by accident. Your GPUs should be aligned by now, and it would be a shame to have to start the process.
How to use little details like, hey, you have to be on your HSI. This is the only page that this display part here shows up, was covered in the lesson when you learned GPS guided coordinates. And then for anybody who's jumping into this right now and you're confused as to why we're starting out with GPS guided bombs, it's because we did a lot of GPS data entry doing manual waypoints in the navigation block. So they already know how to enter GPS coordinates in, and it's only a minor change to enter in GPS coordinates for your bombs. So I wanted to do the easiest to do in the air stuff first, because we already did the grunt work of learning how to manipulate systems and use the UFC and all of that stuff in the previous block. They already know how to. You should already know how to do it by this point, so it's not that big of a deal.
For this bombing run, all you have to do is exactly what you did last time, except you'll only have to press the button once. To make that happen, we need to ensure both weapons are selected for the drop,
Oh, that's right.
which
I
you
need to
do
make
by
sure I do
returning
that.
to the JDAM display,
JDAM
pressing quantity in the bottom right, selecting both stations, then pressing return.
Okay.
You have to
Glad I
do this
reminded
every
myself.
time you switch away from the GPUs, so try to remember to do that when you switch back to them. Don't forget to switch to your HSI, since it's the only display that shows
Weapons
the
are away?
engagement zone. Once you enter the cone and get the in-range indicator, hold down the weapon release button until both GPUs disappear from the store's page, and both bombs will guide themselves to their respective targets. After release, egress to waypoint 3 while you await confirmation that the targets are destroyed.
So I did it this way because I wanted to get it into the, because, you know, most people don't understand what's going on there. Most people don't understand how that the once you release the GPS guided bombs, you don't have to do anything. They go to a GPS coordinate and they're off on their own. So I deliberately have it set up so that you just continue on your flight plan after you drop them off, and you just trust that they're going to get where they're supposed to go as long as you did your data entry correct. And since we did a ton of data entry in the first block, they're used to that, so it's not a big deal. So we'll go ahead and time compress so that we can get to the point where the bombs hit their targets, assuming I did my data entry correct.
Be sure to turn off AG mode and set your master arm switch to safe.
Trying to set up good habits. You know, as you, I know there's the fence in and fence out. I haven't really gotten to the part yet where I understand that personally. I know it's an acronym for things, and it reminds you of things you need to do as you enter a combat situation and exit a combat situation. But I'm slowly trying to build good habits by, you know, set this stuff as you come in, set this stuff as you come out, and then we'll add new things, not just for them, but also for me as I develop this program for them, for you guys. So that's the idea. And then for the rest of this...
As we did in the last lesson, we're going to practice the Marshall pattern. This time, you won't have smoke markers, so you'll have to get around the pattern on your own. Don't worry, this is the last time we'll deal with the pattern, as this is mostly to familiarize you with it rather than demonstrate mastery of it. It isn't likely to come up for most missions. You'd normally set up your TACAN for the carrier before even taking off, but go ahead and do that now so you can track your distance from the airfield.
So in the last episode, I'm not trying to do like one mission teaches one thing. I'm trying to teach as much. I'm trying to cram in as much as I can in each mission to teach you a new concept, and then subsequent missions will have you practice that concept repeatedly so that you don't just do it once and then you kind of have a vague idea of how it works. I want it to become second nature. So like every landing we do is a case 1 recovery, because you need to learn how to do the case 1 recovery if you're going to go out and do any kind of carrier work. If you're practicing it every time we land out here, it's going to be second nature by the time you get out there. So I introduced the concept of the Marshall stack in the previous lesson, which is, it's something you kind of need to know, but it also never comes up as a real thing unless you're doing a custom mission. So I explained that to the student that, hey, this is something you should know how to do just in case, but we're not going to belabor the point because it adds extra time and it's almost never going to come up unless you're unless you're doing something that requires it specifically. But at least you'll know how to do it when you do. So every time we come back in, we're going to do the 50-mile check-in with the carrier reporting inbound. We're going to do the 10-mile. It's just going to be a reminder that, hey, this is when you would do this. There's a 50-mile check-in with the carrier reporting inbound, a 10-mile see you at 10, and then for these first 2 missions, you do a Marshall stack, and then you leave at point 3. You come in, you do your case 1 recovery, and you land. After that, it's just going to be come in, do your case 1 recovery for the practice of it, because it's never going to come up. It's never going to come up in solo missions. It's just not. So let's go ahead and do some time compression. I think I cut.
Select report.
He's doing the reminder for the 50-mile controlled airspace thing. All of this stuff is just reminders at this point. In the last mission, I popped smoke over where the points would be in relation to the simulated carrier over here. In this mission, you don't get that. You just have to fly over the runway and then do your turn like you did last time and do your best to try to get it where it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be real slow right now, and I came in full speed. It's the problem with trying to rush through things because
at 10 miles, you'd give the call out, see you at 10. You should already be at 2,000 foot AGL and 250 knots airspeed.
Yeah, like I said, these videos are not meant to teach you anything, and it's certainly not meant to demonstrate my skills as a pilot. I am capable of doing far better than what I show on these. It's just when you're in a hurry, you're never going to do it as well as you would do it as if you're doing it for real. So try not to take this video as a demonstration of how it should be done. These videos are about the training program, not about teaching you guys how to do this stuff. The campaign is going to teach you how to do this stuff, and as long as you do what it tells you to do, it'll be good. So like I said, let me do this. We'll go around the circle just so you can see how the triggers and stuff all I need to speed up a little bit. Too slow. Why am I still getting... Put the auto throttle. Hold on, I need to slow down. I was fixing my speed brake. I need to get my auto throttle set. I need to get my auto throttle. Alright, so autopilot, barometric pressure, auto throttle. There we go. And then, so yeah, you get over here, you fly over the runway to simulate flying over the carrier to enter at point 1. You set your angle halfway in between 15 and 30 degrees. That seems to be a pretty good... Can you stay where I put you, please? And this seems to be a pretty good angle to get you in the 5-mile circle that the Marshall stack is supposed to be. So you swing around, you go all the way out to about 5 miles from the airport or from the airfield. Gets you pretty close. You get a notification as you cross point 3. I've increased
position 3.
Yeah, I've increased the circle quite a bit to make it so that as long as you're close to about 5 miles, it'll give you position 3. You need to go through each of the positions in order to be able to get it done. So all right, so pattern's complete. You leave it, you go back to position 3. And if you've looked at a map of the Marshall, if you look at the diagram of a Marshall stack, you'll know what all of this is. So you get back out here to position 3, you have your Charlie time, and it tells you, oh, I can leave. That's not really implemented in the game. I explained that in the last mission. But you get back to position 3 when it's time for you to leave the pattern. You do your thing, you do your case 1 recovery, you swing all the way back around, do swing by the airfield, do your case 1 recovery, land, and then the mission ends. So I'm not going to go through the rest of that. You guys, if you've seen any of the other ones, you already know. And I encourage you, if you haven't, to go back and look through the other ones, because I'm trying to make this into something that's actually a quality product and not just some crap that somebody puts out. So I'm putting a lot of time and effort into it, and I don't want to put something out that has either wrong stuff or bad stuff, or maybe I have a misconception as to how something works and somebody needs to correct it. So please feel free to go back through the videos and leave feedback on the previous ones that I've done, because this is something that I want to put out there that's going to actually help people to actually be effective when they're done with the program. Because every other campaigns that I've seen, they have some training in it, but it's mostly just geared towards, learning some carrier concepts, or, because the F-18 is a carrier jet, and that's fine. But if you don't know how to use the weapon systems, or you don't understand how, the RWR works, or you don't understand how, setting up GPS coordinates work, and you don't understand all this little attention to detail stuff that none of even the tutorials that come with the aircraft itself go into the kind of detail that this level of detail aircraft needs. So I'm trying to get as much of that into the course as I can, so that it's something that you will know the ins and outs of the aircraft all the way through by the time you're done with it. That's the hope. So I can't do that by myself. I'll do as much of it as I can by myself, but I really would appreciate some feedback from people who know what they're doing to help out with it. So again, hopefully you got something out of that video. It is not intended to be a tutorial. That is not why you watch this video. You watch this video because I am demonstrating I'm demonstrating each mission as I make it, so that people become interested in it, and also so you get feedback from people who know way more than I do, so that they can help me to correct things and make it better, because I want to create a product that is worthy of people's time. So again, thank you very much. Be sure to click the like button if you found any value in this, so that the YouTube algorithm spreads the video out to more viewers. Subscribe to the channel, because there should be many more of these videos coming. I'm doing I already did a navigation block. I'm doing an air-to-ground block. There'll be a shorter, air-to-air block teaching how to use the radar and do some BVR and basic dogfighting. It's going to be really hard to script dogfighting, but BVR should be something that's reasonable to do. And then we're going to end it out with a block of carrier operations, where you learn how to do that stuff. So be sure to subscribe, so that you know when the next videos come out, and you can kind of keep track of the training program as I develop it, because eventually I want to package this all together in one big training program, and then figure out a way to market it and sell it out for like $10 or something like that. Make it a campaign like all the other ones you see on Steam and all of that, if I can figure out how to do that. But anyways, hopefully you guys like that. Be sure to come back for the next one. Keep tabs on this, because I'm motivated to get it done, and it's going to be more motivating if other people are following it too. So again, thank you very much, and I will see you for the next one.